Alright, hey folks. You may recognize this game. This is the game that I started my channel with. It's a game that is near and dear to my heart. It's the game that got me wanting to make YouTube videos about games in the first place. It is Minecraft. And it's, if you know anything about Minecraft, you will notice that I've got the hardcore hearts, because yes, this is hardcore mode. In fact, it's my own little special hardcore mode where I changed one single game rule to make it harder. That game rule is pretty simple and straightforward. But it is, you have to actually have unlocked a recipe in order to craft it. Now, usually, that is fine. But importantly, what it does is it keeps me from making torches for a while. Because torches, I believe, you get the recipe for once you make a stone pickaxe, I think. So it's very much a situation of, like, it's just a way of incentivizing myself to rush stone pickaxe. Another thing it means is that I have to exit the crafting grid if I'm crafting a midway step ingredient. So I have to exit the crafting grid, wait for the toast to come up that says I've got the thing, and then I can actually make stuff with it. So if, for instance, I want to make an armor stand, right? That uses slabs. So I make the slabs, and then I lose the slabs. Because, or no, sorry, I don't lose the slabs, but I can't craft the armor stand until I go back out and get myself a, oh, they've changed it, they've fixed it, that's boring. Last time I did this, it was you had to exit the crafting table every time you made something. It's kind of boring that they fixed that. Oh well. Excuse me. So if you have noticed that I've got different headphones on, and I might be talking a little bit louder than I usually do, I explained all that in the stream that I finished about an hour ago now, I think. 45, 49, 50 minutes ago. Yeah. Of course, if you're just watching my videos, that stream, the VOD, will not be up for another 6 days. It'll be up on Sunday. But that is not something that you have to worry about. Basically, I just got new headphones because the old ones were literally falling apart. Man, it is so lucky that I spawned with sheep right next to me, because it means I can just get a bed right away. But yes, I can't really hear myself in my mic anymore because I had to do this whole I had to do this whole song and dance. Another thing, if you are watching this because it was tagged for kids and you are a kid, this should probably be the only of my stuff you watch, this Minecraft stuff, because everything else is full of profanity. So, you know, unless you want profanity, which, I mean, I guess, you know, most kids, particularly kids in their rebellious phase, which I didn't really have, would love profanity, but think of it this way. If your parents would not be cool with hearing it shouted from your computer or your phone or your tablet or whatever you're watching this on, maybe don't watch it at least while they're in the house. Alright? That's just some common sense advice right there, I would say. So yes. The other thing about this little playthrough I'm doing here, it is hardcore, yes, but it is also hardcore 100%, which means I am trying to get all of the achievements. Oh, hey, village. So, to get all of the achievements, that's hard. Like, it's gonna take a lot of doing. It's gonna take a while. Some of them are very just luck based. But I mean, I'm doing this in hardcore mode, so you know, of course, I'm gonna have to be very cautious and careful about what I do and how I do it, because one wrong move and the run's over, and I have to start over. But yeah, this will be filled up with some other still Minecraft thing in the same video upload slot as soon as I complete that. Although by the time I complete that, you know, another update will have come out, and I'll just, I guess, do the whole thing again on the new update. Yay. But anyway, yes, hopefully this will be a lot more, shall we say, professionally produced than my first 2 attempts at Minecraft playthroughs. Yeah, if you go back and watch the old videos of mine, part of the thing that made me decide I was going to do this is actually going back and watching just little snippets of my old stuff, and I was like, I could do so much better now. I could do so much better. I mean, for one thing, my voice is about 2 octaves deeper than it was when I did my very narcissistic original Minecraft tutorial. See, back in the day, this is going to be sort of a heart-to-heart from me to you, dear viewers. Back in the day, I was really inspired to do this by the Yogscast and Shadow of Israfel. I started uploading videos in 2014, when I was in 8th grade. It was... I mean, every kid is narcissistic to an extent. You know, part of growing up is leaving that behind. We think the world revolves around us, and then it turns out it doesn't. The difficulty for me is that I have narcissistic tendencies anyway. I have frequently opined at work that in order to be in any sort of entertainment business, whether it is journalism or media or, well, I guess journalism is a kind of nice air stilts, buddy. Whew. The magical floating house. But yeah, whatever form of entertainment it is, you have to be at least a twee bit narcissistic. Because fundamentally, what you are doing is trying to get people to watch, listen, read, whatever, something you have created. But you also have to be, you know, sure that they will want to. It's less so for artists and novelists and the like, because I'm also a novelist, or an aspiring one, I guess you could say. I'm working on writing a book right now. But the key difference there, right? When you are writing something creatively, or drawing, or painting, or composing music, anything like that, unless it's just a job to you, in which case I would say you probably shouldn't be doing it, it feels like there is something inside you that wants to get out. And whether you like it or not, it's going to come out, or it's going to just tear you to pieces from the inside. And it's just this nagging feeling of this story wants out. It's not about me, it's about the story. Whereas, if you're in radio, which is where I work, right? It's, especially if you are talent, you have to be very comfortable with listening to your own voice for basically 3 straight hours. That's the typical duration of a show, a radio show. Which is like that's more than most people. I mean, public speaking is the number one fear for one thing, but on top of that, right, you're basically saying, okay, I am willing to just talk into the ether for 3 hours and be comfortable with it. And that's not something everyone can do. And I would argue it's not something most people can do. And you have to be at least a tiny bit narcissistic to be able to do it very well right off the bat, because it's the sense of, like, you have to be okay with hearing your own voice. You have to be able to get used to it very quickly. And you have to also have the confidence that even if you don't like the way your voice sounds, because your voice does sound different than you think it does, right? When you hear it from yourself, like, speaking, you have all the reverberation of it going around inside your skull. Whereas when it's spoken, the person hearing it doesn't get that. They just get the airwaves that come out of your mouth rather than the raw vibrations. So your voice actually sounds a bit higher and a bit less resonant to other people than it does to you. Which is also why it's like hearing your own voice falls right into the uncanny valley. Which, if you're not familiar with that term, because apparently that's not something most people know about, as I have discovered in the last few years, honestly. The uncanny valley is basically, like, if something is just familiar enough that it feels like that it falls into this weird liminal space between familiar and unfamiliar. That is what's called the uncanny valley. Like, we're fine with stuff that's super unfamiliar, and we're fine with stuff that's super familiar. So, like, other people, for instance, are familiar. Corpses are very unfamiliar. Like, even if you see them on a daily basis, you're still able to draw a distinction and, like, oh, this is the body of a person, but this is nothing like me. Zombies fall into the uncanny valley. That is why zombies and undead and the like are such a just resonant and near universal cornerstone of horror mythology across the world, is because the idea of the dead coming back creates this sort of, for lack of a better term, fundamental impulse almost to run away. What? Right. Okay, I was wrong. They did not change it. It's just in your inventory it's fixed, but in the crafting table... Oh, right, I also need ink. So yes, if you're wondering what I'm doing here, I am going to make a note of this village's coordinates so that later on, when I need cats and I need villagers, I can recruit. I can recruit from this village. So yeah, the Uncanny Valley is... like, that's why zombies are such a popular trope in horror. It's why robots tend to be pretty common in sci-fi horror. Humanoid aliens as well. Like, vaguely humanoid aliens, I should specify. Although I think if you were to interact with not Lord of the Rings or D&D style elf, but a Pathfinder style elf in real life, they would definitely fall into the Uncanny Valley. It's just you know, it's a matter of how much. Alright, we got Book and Quill. So yes, I don't remember what sent me off on the Uncanny Valley. Can't for the life of me remember. But oh well. Let's see here. There's a... Sure, wherever. Alright, so it is negative 306. -72. Negative 200. Alright. Hello, cat. Wait, where's cat? Oh, there's cat. So, what was it that set me off in the Uncanny Valley? I wish I could remember, but I can't, so oh well. Boom! I saw a melon there. Sorry, just delayed brain reaction. Bonk. Danke well, mein Freund. I switched from Dutch to German halfway through there. It's fine, they're very similar languages. Actually, was language the thing that got me onto Uncanny Valley? I don't think it was. Oh, right, it sort of was. Your voice, your own voice, yes. So, hearing your own voice as it's recorded, rather than as you feel like it sounds when you speak it, that is a sort of Uncanny Valley type thing. So, yeah, you know, being willing and able to listen to your own voice, which for most people does fall into that Uncanny Valley, for 3 straight hours. I mean, I say straight, for nearly 3 hours straight, you know, maybe a couple breaks here and there for commercials or for a legal ID if you're on radio or whatnot. That sort of stuff, like, you can get, right, why you would probably need to be a little bit self-centered and narcissistic and egotistical to really be able to succeed at it, because you have to be very comfortable doing this. Like, not just comfortable, but in your element. You know, more comfortable listening to your own voice than not. And you might be thinking, well, if you're just talking, you know, live over the air, then you should be fine. But the thing is, and I go into this actually on my stream about why not being able to hear myself through my headphones, now that I've got this new system set up, is really throwing me off. Like, I am used to being able to hear myself through my mic. So right now I feel almost sort of hard of hearing to my voice. Because I'm used to, when I do this, I'm used to being able to hear myself. I am used to being able to hear what my mic is picking up. And that is best practices, essentially. You want to have the feed of what you are saying as the mic picks it up, pumping into your ears. In part because, you know, you don't want other stuff that's being said, like stuff, for instance, by co-hosts in another room, to be broadcast over speakers and then picked up by your mic, and you also don't want the stuff that you're saying into your mic to get picked up. It's a whole thing. Feedback and audio engineering is an incredibly complicated field, and I'm nowhere near qualified to explain the whole thing. I'm just a lowly board operator and also weekend supervisor at KNHC. But if you are, for instance, trying to host a show, you've got your own voice being pumped back into your ears as you speak. It's not as bad, you know, just having your own voice pumped back as listening to a recording of yourself is. Because when you listen to a recording of yourself, you're just getting the, you know, actual, as it were, sound of your voice rather than your perceived sound of your voice. However, the difference, the difficulty with brain is gone. Right. So when you are live, when you're talking live, rather than just listening back to a recording, that is a very different sort of thing, because you're also getting the way that you feel like your voice should sound. Usually it'll be drowned out, though, by the way that your voice actually sounds, because you should have the level high enough that you can hear that more clearly than your own speech. Not loud enough to blow out your ears, mind, but loud enough to be able to hear clearly, because if you can't hear it clearly, you can't clearly tell the audio balance. That's especially true if you are both board op and host, what's called an air jockey, in, music stations. I don't know I guess sort of technically producer usually falls under that category for talk radio, but anyway. The way that the whole thing works with regard to, being able to hear your voice is just, like, I could go into the biomechanics of it and I get, 90% wrong. But it is a very fascinating thing. And I just realized that I've basically done an info dump, which is the stuff that I'm going to start trying to do and upload on Tuesdays for y'all, which... that wasn't my intention. But oh well. That's sort of explanatory, scientific, or semi-scientific content is sort of what I started the stream to do. Restarted this channel and my streams and all that for. Alright, Mr. Bernie boy. So yeah. Whoop. Wonderful dark oak. So yeah, I'm trying to find all 4 woods just because I like being able to have all 4. Youngle! I see a youngle. Wait for me, my sweet. So yeah, I'm, part of the reason I decided, I'm gonna do a Minecraft stream, like I said, is because I went back or not stream, but Minecraft videos, is partly because, like I said, I went back and watched all of my old Minecraft videos. Well, not all. Not even some of. Just, I caught little bits because I was like, I wonder how much my voice has changed. And I was also trying to test out and make sure that these boys worked well. And as it turns out, they work great! But, yeah, fortunately for me, I've grown and matured in the last, oh god, it's been 8 years. Okay, well, it's been 8 years. Ugh, almost 9 now. Man, time flies. But yeah, I part of the reason, like I was just saying and like I had said before, is because I wanted to, sort of recapture and redo and do it better this time. That spirit of self-improvement is, I think, really what keeps people going forward. However, and this is the important part, I do not think that it's sort of like that in and of itself is necessarily a purely valid reason. Which leads me to my other reason, which is I wanted to be able to play a relatively chill and laid back game, insofar as hardcore Minecraft can be chill and laid back. But I mean, it is compared to stuff like Monster Hunter or Sanctum, which is, fairly brain intensive, Sanctum, and fairly clicky intensive in the form of Monster Hunter. And V-Rising, well, I'm doing that with another person, so of course there's not going to be a bunch of room for me to just monologue about stuff. But yeah, this is a relatively chill game, I am gonna get real frustrated. No two ways about it. Like, when I die, when a run gets scuffed, when I bungle things, when I lose diamonds, and it is going to happen. I am going to make mistakes. I am going to get mad. I am going to want to give up. I am going to want to quit. But I'm not going to. I'm also not going to cheat like I did in the past to try and get out of it. That is something I've been working on for a long time. You know, as I run into those sorts of situations, I'm going to take the opportunity to sort of reflect on how I've grown over the last, almost 9 years now, since I started. But also just in the last, let's see, sophomore year? Yeah, just in the last, 6, 7 years. 8 years, actually. Last time. I've changed. I've grown. You know, that's how people work. And if you expect yourself to be the way that you are now, then you're either putting too much stock in yourself, or you're not putting enough stock in yourself. You know, you either, whether it's you think you're great and you'll never need to change, or you think you're a horrible, horrible person who's completely irredeemable. Those are both wrong. Everyone can change over time. In good ways and in bad ways. You know, you can, even if you're right about yourself being great, that doesn't mean you'll always be that way. You know, some bad stuff can happen to you and set you off course. But by the same token, if you're just a really scummy person, good stuff can happen to you and set you on a better path. I've watched it happen. The story is rather personal, and it would take a long time to explain, so I'm not going to get into it tonight. Well, I say tonight. It's daytime for you. Whenever you're watching this, I'm not going to get into it. What I am going to do, though, is just say that whether you're in a dark place or a really bright place, if you will, it's not going to last forever. You know, even if you think you've found happiness for the rest of your life, don't be so sure. You found happiness for a while, yeah. And I'm not going to begrudge you that. But don't be so foolish as to think that it's really forever. The only constants are change and chaos, and chaos is just a kind of change. That's one of the things that we have to deal with, being, you know, part of this mortal coil. Man, I got real existential and heavy real deep. As soon as I finish cutting down this tree, it's going to be the end of the episode. But, you know, obviously that's still going to take a little bit longer. And I'm just going to ramble on a little bit more. But, yeah. As I was saying, this is a chill game compared to well, stuff like Sanctum, Monster Hunter, sort of also V-Rising, when you're playing it with someone else and you're trying to coordinate with them and, like, have a conversation rather than a monologue. Which means that I can sort of, you know, do my ADHD thing, although I don't really have the H, my ADD thing, and just ramble about stuff. It's, you know, it's not to the same extent as I will on the info dumps, because that is where I've, like, done some amount of research and prep. This is more just sort of off the cuff, like, I'm here anyway, I might as well talk. Also, anyone out there who is internally screaming at me for being so reckless in a hardcore playthrough, I've already got a bed. I can come back, or not come back. I can't. There's a point of hardcore. You can't come back. But I can sleep through the night, which is très important. If you don't speak French, that's very important in French. Oh, that's why it's not falling. It's still got a bit of wood. There we go. It's got a bit of wood over there. Let's see, any other bits of wood? Nope, okay. So yeah, I picked this game in part because it's a chill thing to do, you know, while talking about stuff. Whether I want to break down my deep thoughts or explain my personal ideologies or just talk about stuff that I think is cool, but not to the same degree of depth as in an info dump. And without the same level of research and coordination and blah. Yeah, I'm working on prep for well, for what will be tomorrow's. And it's a lot of work. Like, it's something where I'm actually, you know, properly getting and citing sources. Which, of course, is inherently way more complicated than just talking off the cuff about things. So, there we have it. That's the end of the first episode. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.